Is it started? Cool. I'll start then. Hey everyone, a warm welcome to all of you. I'm really excited for all of you to attend this webinar. And first of all, I would like to thank IIITians Network and ESL IIIT GWALIOR for organizing this event. And secondly, today we have Mehul Mohan over here. He has over 5 years of experience in freelancing. And in this webinar, we'll just be learning from him how did he get started and what would be his tips for learning and how can you get started with freelancing. So yeah, now let's get started, and over to you, Mehul.
Hi everyone. So thank you so much, Nishant, first of all, and the IIIT Network for giving me this opportunity. I'm very excited today to share what I have learned over these years in the world of freelancing with you guys. And I understand in colleges, it's very likely that if you're making a little bit of more pocket money on the hand, it makes your life much simpler. So freelancing is one of the ways you can do it, but it is definitely something which is possible, right? So there are other ways like trading and just working in some company internship, stuff like that. But freelancing allows you as a person to have definite returns, right? So we'll be taking a look in this whole presentation, in this whole thing, how you can start as a freelancer, how you can start earning, and what it takes to become a freelancer actually. So I'll just share my screen so that we can start with the presentation now. If you have any questions in between, you can post it in the live chat. I will make sure to answer the questions. So my screen should be visible, right, Ishan and Shant?
Yes, you can start. We can see the screen.
All right. So first of all, a little bit about me, who I am, what I do right now. So I am a full stack developer. That means that I work with front end and back end technology.
Mehul, can you just wait? Nishant, you should pin the shared screen actually. Nishant, yeah. Can you just pin the screen, the shared screen? Yeah, now it's good. All right. Nothing, you can start now. Mehul, you can continue.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to me, I'm a full stack developer. That means that I have been working with front end and back end technologies, the technologies responsible for you to see web pages online for almost 7 years now. There's a whole another story how I became those things, but that is for another presentation. I have been freelancing for almost 5 years now, more or less. So my peaks in 2017 and 2016 when I was very aggressively freelancing, but before and after that, it was more of a casual thing. Sorry, what is it? Nishant, are you saying something? Okay, then with the help of freelancing, I gained a lot of developer experience as well. I would say my 40 to 50% of learnings in the developer world actually came from freelancing. So freelancing not only helped me to make some money on the side, but it actually enabled me to perform day-to-day developer tasks and increase my developer knowledge as I was learning things as well. So it is basically a very good thing in terms of learning as well as earning money on the side if you utilize it properly. This developer learning actually enabled me to go into San Francisco last year, which is where the WWDC conference was hosted from Apple. So I won a scholarship there based on my developer skills, which I would say freelancing contributed a lot. So it enabled me to learn to program, it enabled me to learn to code, which then gave me that opportunity. So when you start learning things, when you put in the work, opportunities unlock. And finally, I also started codedamn YouTube channel while I was freelancing because I just thought that if I know something, why not just share it on YouTube as well? Over the years, it growed significantly. So right now we have 125,000 subscribers, over 16 million plus views, and yeah, only the sky is the limit. So coming to the topic of freelancing, let's see how you can approach freelancing today in a very practical way, because we won't be talking any theoretical aspects. You can do that. This will be actually going into practical stuff, how you can do something. First of all, you have to understand that you have to have certain skills which are valuable to other person, right? You can decide to free, but if you do not have something to offer to the other person, you will not earn money, because at the end of the day, you are exchanging money for time, right? You're putting in time, you're putting in your experience on somebody else's project, somebody else's work. So you got to have those skills as well on somebody else's project, somebody else's work. So you got to have those skills as well. So first thing, you have to learn some sort of skill which is sellable. And for this purpose of development skills, we will be focusing on the programming skills. And this is an important thing. So I'll cover this at the last, like how you can approach things which actually make money. Secondly, you need to learn how you can reach to buyers, no matter how good you are in terms of technology and skills. If you do not know how to approach people, if you do not know how to look for people who are looking for you, you won't be able to make money, right? Because obviously you have to sell to people who actually want to buy. Thirdly, once you have buyers, you want to retain them. By retaining them, what you mean is that you want to provide quality service, and you want to provide service which is affordable, so that people who are opting in for your freelance services actually come back as well. It will surprise you, but a lot of times what happens is that when you are working for a client, it might be possible that you are actually talking to an intermediate person, right? So that intermediate person might be working in an agency, or it might be working as a as an independent contractor, whatever it could be. So if you are able to have good pricing and good experience with that particular person or that particular agency, you actually get a lot more work, probably more than you can handle. So opportunities there, you just have to play your cards right. Firstly, let's cover reaching to buyers. We're going to come to the learning aspect later on. Let's cover the practical aspect first of all, which you can start right now, even with this webinar going on. So first thing first is you cannot just go ahead and just create a website for yourself and start sending people link for that website that you can go ahead and just purchase my services online. This cannot really work, because you do not have that authority, you do not have that leverage which the other freelancing websites like Fiverr and Elance and Upwork is a new name for Elance. So these sites have years of establishment, these sites have trust. So buyers, basically the people who want to purchase services, they come on these websites for people, right? So you already have targeted audience on these platforms. So what you want to do is you want to start with a platform which is either Fiverr, or it is something like Upwork, or some similar platform. My personal recommendation is with Fiverr, partly because I have worked a lot with the website, so I understand how. Secondly, it is very easy to break into the audience, break into the crowd as a new person on sites like Fiverr, because you can offer very small services as well, and you can offer large services as well. So when you're starting off, nobody expects you to create a full-fledged end-to-end website, right? Because that takes months of time, and that is expensive as well. So it is a huge responsibility. So if you want to pick up projects like those, Upwork and other websites which are more professional in that sense could work for you. But sites like Fiverr allows you to pick small $5, $10, $15 of gigs, which you can complete maybe within a day or two, and you will be done with that. So most of the people should start with sites like Fiverr. They can move to other websites which are more expensive in terms of projects and more professional later on. Then when you have an account on Fiverr.com, you have to set up a gig, right? A gig is basically a service which you're selling to the end user. So it could be as simple as, I will convert your JPEG image into a website, or, I would fix any HTML, CSS, JavaScript bug or any HTML, CSS, JavaScript script on your web page. It could be anything, any sort of small service which you're offering. So if you go to fiverr.com right now, you can just sign up with any account. You can Facebook, Google, you can go with Apple, or you can do a manual sign up. So it's not a problem. Most of us are in 21st century. We know how to use internet and computers. So I'm pretty sure you will be able to figure that out. So let's take a look at how you can set up that perfect gig, which I was talking about, that perfect service. Because you could be the best developer, but if you do not know how to sell yourself, sell your service, then nobody would actually buy you. The gig page actually looks like, but when you're creating a gig, but you can see that there are a bunch of sections when you're creating something like that. You start with the overview, then there's pricing, description, requirements, gallery. So there are a lot of things which you can push into the gig. I'll be taking an example from an already existing gig, which is good at what it sells, and we'll be analyzing what that person is doing right, which you can do as well. Suppose you want to create a service which is for, let's say, converting Photoshop development files to responsive websites, right? So let's cover, first of all, let's cover some of the pointers which I believe are important for a gig like this, like Photoshop to responsive website. First thing is you want a generic but relatable title. Now, sites like Fiverr could be thought of sites like Google, right? When you're on Google, you're searching for something. So your intent is very clear that if you're searching for, let's say, a microwave, then obviously the person is most likely interested in buying a microwave. Similarly, on sites like freelancing sites, nobody would randomly just search for, creating a website. Chances are, if a buyer is searching for that, they are interested in getting a website done. So you want a title which immediately relates to that particular person. Now, you don't really want a lot of jargons in there, like I would be doing your JSON, XML, RPC work. No, not like that. You want maybe I will be fixing your WordPress bugs, right? Because most of the people who know WordPress do not really know about technologies. So most of the people who are just working with WordPress blogs or sites, they are just aware about plugins and that ecosystem, but they are not into code and everything. So you want a generic and relatable title for those people. The next thing you have to do in your gig description is establish your authority. The people will click on your gig, right? But they most definitely order it right away. They will actually review a bunch of offers because you are not the only one who's offering a service in that particular area. So you have to establish your authority. Who are you and why should people buy from you? So this might take some time. If you're just starting off, you might not have that authority right away. But for the moment, you have to just keep putting in your work in personal projects or in anything, and you can share that particular experience that I have 2 years experience of converting PSTs to, let's say, responsive website designs. And maybe you can throw a bunch of links of your work which demonstrate what you have done. So that establishes a bit of. Next, you have to list all the technologies that is, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular, React, whatever it is. And you have to list what technologies you could use for a task like this, like converting a PST to responsive web design, right? Media queries in CSS, CSS3, animations, stuff like that. Then you have to list all the services you will offer. So the first thing could be obviously converting your PSD design to HTML. Next thing you can offer is, I will as well on your FTP server. You can also offer unlimited revisions. So things like these, when you offer multiple things to the buyer, you are more likely to impress that person, and that person would be a particular service from you instead of somebody who has just written just written a description which just works, sort of. And finally, formatting and detailed explanation is a good thing. Nobody really wants to read a huge paragraph because it's honestly unreadable. So you want to break down everything into points, and you want to make sure that the thing is readable and it's clean. So let's say I just gave you an example of the responsive website design, but this is a live gig. And I think this is a good example of how you should frame your gig titles and everything. So if you're working with, let's say, all the front-end technologies at the moment. One way to go about is to, just make use of jargons and everything. But another way is to go about and the title relatable and easy for the person. Now, a lot of people know about front-end developer and designer, but not a lot of people would be aware about the individual technologies in them. So you can go ahead and create a different separate gig for those technologies as well, but you should at least have a one generic gig title. So I will be a front-end developer and designer. Be relatable. Anybody who sees this title can relate. Oh, I want a website, so this is what I want. I want logo design, so this is what I want. So things like that. Next thing, establishing your authority. The person right here clearly says that I'm a professional senior front-end developer with this. You list your experience, you list how many projects you have done, you list a bunch of technologies which you have worked with very frequently, like Bootstrap, SaaS, all these technologies. Next, you list all the technologies you know. So this is a clean list of all the technologies that person is working with. And finally, you list the services you offer as well. So in this case, it's a very simple PST to responsive website thing. So this would just work. Finally, make sure you have the formatting and everything right in place so that the people who are actually reading your prospective can actually see that you have put in the work to actually just make sure your description is neat and clean. Even in this person's description, I can see a bunch of grammatical errors here and there, but the more you improve it, the better your chances are for a human who's actually seeing that what you have written to opt into your service. Next thing, I believe, the buyers, right? So once you have the buyers with you, it is important to actually have that experience where the people who have purchased your service come back to you. So obviously, the first step for retaining buyers is to actually get buyers, number one, and then you have to make sure that they are recurring buyers. About the recurring buyer section, what I discussed is the only way you can do that, you cannot really force somebody to purchase something again from you. The only way you can do that is if you provide quality service, number one, and if you provide it at an affordable and rather low market price initially. I would say people usually have a different view on this than me, but I really believe that when you're starting off in the freelancing world, you should focus less on money and you should focus more on getting your reviews and getting your authority built, because you can earn money on the basis of reviews and authority later on. But if you just go ahead and run behind money right now, you won't be able to build that authority, you won't be able to build that connections right away, which would enable you to have better recurring buyers later on down the line. So obviously once you do the first two steps, you get a recurring profit thing going on. So it's a profit for you. So how do you get buyers on sites like Freelance, Fiverr, and Upwork? Now, most of the freelance websites which you see, like Fiverr or Upwork or any other website which you're working on, they usually have a buyers section. A lot of people, what they do, I have seen a lot of my friends as well, what they will do is that they'll create a gig, they'll create a service, and they'll start spamming it on social media. Now, it might just work that somebody who's browsing your social media might see that particular gig and they order it. It might work, but it mostly won't, because most of the people who really want a service, they are actually aware about freelancing websites, right? Most of the people are aware about freelance work, that you can offload something to other people. And all of these people who are aware about freelance randomly on the couch browsing social media is likely to buy your service right away. So what you want is you want to actively get that particular person on your gig right now. Now, getting buyers on the platform itself, on the Fiverr, on the freelancing platform itself, has two main ways to go about. The first one is getting buyers passively, and the second one is getting buyers actively. Let's take a look at what do I mean by getting buyers passively. By passively, what I mean is that you have a very good authority, you have a very good gig, you have very good reviews, you have very good connections right now on the website itself, that people are actually seeing your gig right away and they are purchasing it, right? So if I go to, let's say, if I go to this website for now, and if let's say if I want to have a logo design or maybe a front end design, so I'll go to programming and tech, I'll go to web programming, and you can see that right away I can just filter around the online sellers, and you can see that these buyers, these people, I can directly see that this guy has 1000 plus reviews, has a 4.9 rating, so I'm very likely to opt in into this particular gig, right, if I have this task requirement. So this is something known as I have myself come to this particular gig to order this. To build this sort of thing, you need a lot of work to be put in directly, right? So you need to have good reviews. You need to put in a lot of time into the platform. So maybe you can build this particular authority in 1 year or 2 years. You need a good track record because if you have a bunch of negative reviews right away, which are the latest reviews, that's again a turn off for the people. Then you also need to have some sort of platform specific status. For Fiverr, it's levels right now. So you have a level 1 or 2 seller. So you can see that this guy is level 2 seller. So this again establishes some sort of authority in terms of work ethic and the effort that person puts in. And finally, you need a proper gig optimization. So if we take a look, you can see that it is pretty much just like what we discussed, how you should place your gigs. So this guy has a basic requirement, first of all, what services this person is offering. Then he goes one step beyond and he actually offers why you should opt in for this particular guy. So this is also addition. You also have the skill set which the person is offering. So there's that. Then all of this is backed up by the actual reviews and the actual status of the seller. So this is a perfect thing. One quick thing as well, which I really like to put out there, is that this person starts with a very small amount. So it's a $5 gig, which is a base price. So this is like very important when you're starting off. You can see on Fiverr, you can go ahead and see that there would be a lot of gigs. There would be a lot of people who would be offering $50, $60, $70 as the basic model, right? You don't really want to start your basic model from that high amount because you are new. You are a person who has no track record right now. So you should work for as less as you can so that you can build up these numbers. Once you have these authority, once you have these numbers, then maybe you can go ahead and introduce more and more packages which are more expensive for the other user. But start off with a small amount. $5, I guess, is the minimum amount you can go on Fiverr, and that is what you should start off with. So this is a perfect gig in my view. So you can learn a lot of things from the description. You can learn a lot of things from the packages, and this is how you should start things. Now, this is passively getting buyers. You are not going to be benefited from that particular thing when you're just starting off. But what you could do right away is you can actively get buyers. Now, what do I mean by getting buyers actively? There's a section called buyers section on Fiverr, which allows you to actually pitch to the people who are looking for services, right? So these are the people who are actually looking for services, and they can go to the buyers section and they can post their exact requirements, and you can go ahead and pitch them your ideas. For doing that, you need to have multiple gigs around your particular topics, because if I go ahead and take a look, right, buyer's request, you can see whatever request I see right here are just binded to what gigs I have on the platform. So I only have a single gig active right now. I'm not very active on Fiverr. I only have a single gig active right now, which has a category of web programming. So I'm just going to see offers for web programming. If you know more things like maybe UI UX design, maybe logo design, whatever it is, you have to create more gigs around that particular topic. Once you do that, you're going to have more subcategories here, and you're going to have more people to choose from, right? Right now, we have about 1,200 active requests, but for the most part, you just want to go a couple of days back. So you can see that these guys created this request for September 6th. Then these are September 5th. You don't really want to go beyond September 4th or 3rd or 2nd, because most of the people beyond that really have lost interest. So they are not really approachable anyway. So next thing is these are your, that this guy right here is offering $1,000 budget. So this is going to be a heavy task. You know that right away. But you can go ahead and read the description if you have worked with Chrome extensions. Maybe, just maybe, if you have worked with Chrome extension and you understand the requirement, what you can do is instead of $1,000, you can offer this guy of $700, right? So you can go ahead and send an offer where you say that, hey, I understand what you are doing. I have worked with a project like this. I think I have just a bunch of questions, and you just write a couple of things which just tells the buyer that yes, you have read the requirements, right? Because trust me, I have used Fiverr as a buyer as well. So I know a lot of sellers, what they do is they would just write interested like this, and they would write the $1,000 budget, which is the original budget, and they'll send the offer. And nobody, trust me, nobody who has $1,000 to spend would purchase just on this particular message. So what you want is you want a very customized message. You want to make sure when this person reads your message that they know that you have read their message. Right, a person. Most likely, what I would recommend for new people is to never ever go beyond the budget which the original person has sent. If you think that budget is too low, then do not apply for that gig, right? But do not raise the budget, because you do not have the authority right now to set your own budgets, because that other person can go with somebody else who has pitched a higher price and has a higher reputation as well on the platform. So if I were you and I was just starting off and I just saw this gig and maybe I have the skills for building a Chrome extension, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a nice description, whatever things I think I do not understand, whatever things I think I understood. I can list down how much time it will take for me. I will actually watch this video, see what this person is saying. And then I'll probably list the price as 700 to 800 US dollars, right? Because now I'm saving him $200 as well. And I'm pretty sure at least 5 to 6 offers are about $1,000, or they are more than that, because people are greedy. Trust me. People are greedy. They want to start negotiation at a higher level. So you can use this fact to your advantage to actually get customers right away. So you can use the people to get these buyers to opt into your services right away, because you're obviously offering a lower price for a high quality service. So this is how you can approach people. You get 10 requests, you get 10 offers a day. So make the best use of them. Apply for the ones which have a low offer count, probably a controversial sort. Some people might think that it has a lower budget. That is why they do not really apply. So these are some of the things which you have to work on, right? And if you are going for gigs which have a higher count, then make sure your budget is definitely lower, right? Because if you're starting off, again, if you're new, you do not have that leverage which other people will have. They will have reviews, and they will have that experience to show in terms. So to really stand apart from the crowd, the only thing you have initially is to lower down your budget. That is to lower down your price. Nothing else you can do unless you get more and more reviews. So this is the bias section. You can go ahead and create a profile. You can directly go ahead and create a gig, first of all, to enable this bias section, and get started with applying for some of the offers. So coming back to the presentation, I think I explained most of the things for the actively getting buyers. Again, laser focus targeting means that whatever gigs which you have in place, Fiverr would only show you offers around that. So one very important thing is to go ahead and is to go ahead and create gigs. So you can see I have a lot of paused gigs right now. I just have the single act gigs. Now, if I enable, for example, this design a logo for you gig, then I will also see offers in the buyer section for people who want to get a logo done. So things like these, you have to work on a bunch of gigs, you have to create them, you have to nicely write all the description and everything, and then you can move to the buyer section to apply for individual people who are looking for work. And trust me, it really works. It might not work on your first attempt, on your second attempt, but if you're just keeping in the work, you're just making use of the 10 offers which you get every day, and if you just keep on applying, in your second, third, get responses from buyer, and you will be starting to close deals, right? So this is how you're going to begin. Then, just like I said, pitch the best offer to the buyer so that your offer stands apart. Because right now, if you cannot stand apart in terms of track record, the only thing you can do is make your offer stand apart. Finally, less money now is more money later. When you're working as a new freelancer, if you're making less money, it is fine, at the cost of getting more reviews and at the cost of getting a better buyer experience. This is what matters, period. Nothing else. You just have to focus on how you can create the best experience, that is in terms of work as well as in terms of communication. Nobody wants to work with a person who responds once every 2 days. So you don't want to be that person. Be aggressive, be actually careful and care about your buyers, right? Because these are the person who would be your evangelist when you are closing your first, second, third gig, and the reviews start coming in, and these people rate 5 stars on a new gig. It really creates a sense of trust and establishment for a person who's looking at a new gig and he sees that he already has these many good reviews, so he must be good. So make sure about that. Don't really focus a lot on money, although freelancing is about money, but just right now, just think you have to make less money right now. Again, we just covered the buyer's request section. That is what I wanted to show in this whole thing. So this is again one of the examples for Chrome extension again. So this is something I just saw. I think you can also see it right now, but yeah. So for actively getting your buyers, just like I said, you're out of the buyer as they can. So you have an advantage of bidding a lower price here. And your message should always convey the idea that you have read the buyer requirements. Just like I said, a lot of people just randomly message, and yeah, nobody really buys from them, because if you're just messaging that you're interested or you know how to do it, it clearly gives away the message that you're just here for the money. So make sure your the person can immediately understand that you have read the requirements. And pitching the best offer is the same facts, that pitch the best offer and less money is more money right now. So this is like what I could do with the previous Chrome extension. So you can start with a simple hey, then you list down your experience, and then I put in a sentence like as you said, which conveys the tone that I have read this particular person's message. Now, this is a small message. You can make a larger message as well, covering more details about that particular thing. But yeah, so you can see I'm listing a $5 price. And if I go back a bunch of slides, you could see that this was actually intended for a $7 gig, right? So you can cut these corners here. And this guy has just 4 offers. So I'm pretty sure all 4 offers would be $7 as well. So here you have an advantage, right? So if you are able to pitch this correctly, you are very likely to get this offer. All right, so this was about selling and practical things and all that stuff. But how do you really learn about these things? Like, okay, it's fine, you can pitch a $700 offer to the Chrome extension guy, and you might even get that gig. But what do you do next? Well, just like I said, you have to have some sellable skill, right? So you have to have something which the other person can buy, which the other person does not have. So in our case, we are working on the web development front. So we involve technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So you need to learn them in a better way. So web development, skills are very popular in demand. So if you go ahead and create a front-end gig, you get all those front-end offers, and you can still see that only inside the web development thing, I had around 1,200 active requests. So there's a lot of potential. Then some of the things which I believe you should learn right away and start applying for the buyers section. Once you have equipped yourself with these things, or maybe not really equipped as well, you can just start learning these things and start applying in parallel as well. So some of the most popular technologies are HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now, unfortunately, jQuery is also very popular right now among people, although it has been not of very significant use in the past 1-2 years. So if you know about jQuery, you can probably help your buyers migrate to the vanilla JavaScript code. So this is fine. DOM is basically document object model, which comes in the HTML section. Chrome extensions, again, just like I said, is a very popular niche on the freelancing websites. Well, if you're talking about backend, a very popular technology is a bit of PHP. Deployment is usually done in solutions where you'll connect their websites with FTP. So you should know how to work with tools like these, FTP, FileZilla, programming languages like JavaScript, HTML, CSS, stuff like this. So you should know about them. But the point is, how can you learn things like these? Because when you learn things like these, then only you can go ahead and apply them on sites like Fiverr. So the first thing which I recommend is you can start with YouTube videos and playlists. They are a very good source to start things. The only problem which you might face is sometimes the content is too narrow. Number one, that is, not everything is covered. Sometimes the content is old enough. So, if you're learning about HTML4 in 2020, it has no use. And a lot of times the content is fragmented, right? So you might not have all the things available to you right away. So these are some of the things with YouTube, but for the most part, it will work just fine. Self-practicing is a lot better than, just opting in for videos and everything, although not a replacement directly, but you should always complement your learning, the theoretical part of learning, the consuming content, with actually self-practicing. By self-practicing, I mean creating your projects, creating something on your own, because when you're working on your own projects, you have a lot of time on hand, you do not have any deadlines or anything, and you learn a lot of small things which you do not really learn from videos and here and there and from text. So you build that muscle memory, you build that things that if this is the error, what should happen. So self-practicing is a big thing. I'm a very big believer in doing the actual work instead of just consuming the content always. There's another way you can use, that is the codedamn learning paths. On codedamn, we have learning paths, which is basically a roadmap of whatever you should do, whatever you should learn in order to have that particular industry skill. So in our case, it would be web development, or more specifically front-end web development. So we have a learning path for that. As a matter of fact, whatever we covered in this presentation is also covered in a codedamn learning path for freelancing. So let's cover about codedamn freelance learning path, which includes the part of web development as well. So this freelance learning path on codedamn is a more detailed learning path on starting freelancing. Again, also in this path, we'll also be using the Fiverr website for getting started, but it is more detailed, in which I will take you through how you can set up your first gig, how you can actually write the description. We'll actually create our first gig, stuff like that. We'll take a look at relevant skill sets, the most popular things, just like I mentioned a few. There are a lot of more things which you can opt in. And we'll also see that how you can learn these particular things using guided roadmaps. So it's fine, you can watch a video or two, but a lot of times you need the next step. Once you have done that, once you have watched that video, what's next? What next should you learn? How you can connect the dots, right? So you have a single information dot of HTML, how do you connect it with JavaScript? So roadmaps sort of help you in that way. So if you go to the codedamn website, that is codedamn.com, you can click on and you're going to see a freelance web developer learning path. So freelance web developer learning path is basically a guided roadmap. If you switch to the interactive mode, you can see where we take you from freelance introduction, what is freelancing, how much can you earn. We basically cover a lot of things. I have just quickly gone over through this whole freelance web development path in this webinar, but the learning path, we take a deep look into this. Making your first $100, again, how you should approach buyer, how you should build the buyer trust, how you can get recurring buyers. So how to do things like these. Then skill building is also important, just like I discussed. You should be actually selling something So you have to make sure that the thing which you're selling, the skill which you're selling, is actually useful, right? Then finally, the web development part, basically, this is the part where you actually have to learn things. So this is important in terms of actually selling what you are offering, right? So you can offer the best gig, you can offer the best solution, but if you do not know how to code, you won't be able to the gigs, right? So this is where it comes in. You can choose a bunch of courses, you can start off, and similarly all these dots and everything are actually connected to a single course, which is the freelance web developer path. So you can start this course, you can use this course. I think you should have the link in the description for this. If not, you can go to the codedamn.com website, and it's basically with the start learning button, freelance web developer again. There's also one last thing which I would just like to cover very quickly, I think. One last thing is that there should be a form link in the chat or in the description. I'm not sure. I think Ishan could check that. So that form, if you fill that form out, I will be taking my time to talk to a couple of people in that particular entries and guide them more towards how they can start learning, start working as a freelancer. This would be a one-on-one call, maybe on the weekends or whenever we can just schedule that. But if you go ahead and fill that form, we can actually chat about your progress. We can actually chat about what you are doing right now, how you can improve, how you can basically go ahead and be a better freelance developer in general. And maybe if you want, you can also ask me questions about your web development life as well, how you can grow as a web developer, how you can make the best out of that. So I think, yeah, that's pretty much it for the presentation. Let's discuss some questions if you have any.
All right. Mehul, the one question that people are having is that when should they know that they can now start freelancing? Like, what is a good point in their journey of learning to code? Someone is talking about Python. Someone is talking about HTML, CSS. So when should they know that this is the point after which they should start putting up gigs and they can start working?
I believe that you should immediately, when you're starting to learn, just learn for a couple of days, just go through the videos. And once you do that, you're going to be up with the 50 to 75% knowledge of the topic right away. And once you have that particular knowledge, go ahead and start applying for people, applying for the gigs which are listed. This is because what happens is a lot of times you are actually learning from the the actual work which you're doing for other people. So my take is that start enrolling into a bunch of courses, just pick up some HTML, CSS videos. When you're watching them, you can at the same time start applying for gigs, start applying for buyers, just create more gigs, and you should be good to go. There's not you should not wait 1, 2, 3, 4 months to actually equip the whole skill and then go ahead and apply that.
All right, makes sense. One more question that people were having is that how should they manage their academics and their freelancing on the side? What would be your tips for this?
Well, I would say that you have to minimize the time which you are wasting. So if you want to put in more time for freelancing, everybody has a lot of time in the complete day. So everybody got 24 hours, and it's not like you could be super busy with the university work all the time. So even if you have 8, 9, 10 hours of commitment with universities and you're sleeping for, let's say, 8, 9 hours, you still have 5 to 6 hours, out of which you can use a couple of hours to freelance every day and learn every day as well. So yeah, I mean, it is definitely manageable if you just chip away the time which you spend on maybe watching Netflix or maybe, just wasting here and there, which you think that you can minimize. So definitely go ahead and assess yourself where you can see you can chip down some time.
All right. Now, one more question is that how much can they expect to earn? So, what was your experience like? How much were you earning when you started out, and what was that curve like for you from beginning to at a later stage in freelancing for you?
So for me, it was basically something like an exponential boost kind of thing when I was, most active in my freelancing career in 2016 and 2017 part. So I started off slow. That is, I just used to create simple gigs and just work for $5-10 orders. But later down the line, when I was actually starting to learn things, when I was actually seeing how other people, how other freelancers price their gigs, I would be, taking up a $200-300 project here and there every week. So on my best months, I have earned, I think, roughly about $1,500 a month. So if you talk about the potential, I would say that if you're applying for, let's say, 10 offers every day, which Fiverr gives you, and out of those 10 offers, if you are able to convert, let's say, 2 or 3 offers, or maybe 1 or 2 offers, then you have about a 10 to 15 to $20 of earning every day, which quickly translates into, let's say, roughly about $200 to $300 a month if you are, just putting in work every single day. But yeah, do not really expect a lot of outcome just right away. It will take some time for you to actually build your profile, your authority. It will take some time for you to get into that rhythm of actually applying for work and getting rejected a lot of times as well, because you would not be always getting successful response from other buyers. There would be a lot of times you will be rejected. So once you have gone through that phase, once you understand how the game is played, you can start with a decent earning, 200, 300, $400 a month. And then how much effort, how much work, how smartly you can do it, you can then push it to maybe six, seven, $800 by increasing your price, by increasing your efficiency, your code quality. So there's that.
Okay, and someone is asking how much did you earn in 1 year in freelancing, just to get an idea.
Okay, it would be difficult for me to answer because I don't have the numbers with me, but I would say if you just average out, let's say my earnings to $500 to $600 a month, so you can just multiply it by 12 and get an estimate.
All right. One more person is asking, I know how to build websites, but I don't know how to buy hosting and domain for the client. So do I have to do that?
If the client asks, so because in a lot of cases what happens is the clients actually have hosting with themselves, but if a client asks to do that, then maybe what you can do is, if you sincerely do not know and you do not want to invest time in learning that, you can say it to that client that I cannot offer the service, and that client can move to another buyer, which is a red flag, to be honest. But if I were you, I would just say that, hey, I have done this work, and I will probably take $10 more or $15 more in order to deploy it to your FTP. And I would set a deadline of 2 days. Then I will aggressively go on Google, read about stuff, how I can deploy PHP website, how to use FileZilla, how to, maybe buy hosting for websites, maybe, if the client already has hosting, how to use cPanel. So read about that. Like, everything is available on internet. You just have to put in some effort, some research in achieving what you want to do.
All right. One more person is asking, have you ever given up while freelancing? So I guess he's just trying to know what are the struggles of freelancing. So yeah.
So I would say that I haven't really given up as in like stopped freelancing when I was working, but definitely there are struggles. A lot of times, what is going to happen is, for me at least, what happens is I have overestimated myself a lot of times. So I thought that I would be able to pull this off in a couple of days or 3 days, and then I was not able to do that. And I was in the middle of the work while the buyer actually canceled the order. So things like these happen, right? So you're gonna have to face a lot of rejection, maybe canceled gigs as well. I still remember that when I started freelancing myself back in 2013, I did not know a lot of technologies back then, so I will just randomly pick up buyer request, and then they would get canceled because I was unable to complete the work. So it's a little bit, you can say it's a little bit difficult to start off with no skills, but definitely do not give up, because it's just a single person behind another computer, which is judging you on the basis of a simple work you have done in a couple of days. They do not have the whole picture of what you're trying to achieve in your life, whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, definitely there are hard days, but you can, for the most part, just look at the bigger picture and overcome
Okay.
that.
I think that one question that a lot of people will have when they will start freelancing is that let's say that one buyer request says $100 budget. Okay. And a lot of people are around $50. They are just bidding at around that point. But because you are starting out and you have not done any previous projects, you just go ahead and you just put $5 price over there. So the clients that are just looking at your responses will think that, I mean, you get what you pay for, right? So they might ignore your $5 offer, thinking that it might be some sort of like a scam that you are doing. What do you think about this?
So a couple of things there. The first thing is you never reduce the price by 20 times. So if you have $100 project, you should never work for $5, irrespective of when you're starting. That is not the thing. So what I was saying is actually reduce the price by 10 to 20%, not times. So
All right.
$100, maybe go for $80, $70. And trust me, you said that most of the people would be opting for $50. That is not the case. Most of the people want to get the maximum money out of people, so they will be either opting for 100 or maybe more. Like 90 to 95% of people would be going for that. So this is one thing. Can you just repeat the question again? I had a second thing as well, but I forgot what the whole question was.
Yeah, the question was the buyer might think that you get what you pay for, right?
Yes.
So it's like if there is a $50 offer, that might mean that it has more quality into it.
Yes. So you get what you pay for. Would not be the case, to be honest here, because you have Fiverr as an intermediate. So as a buyer, you have the power to reject the work if it is not good enough, and you can cancel the work as well. Most of the buyers won't do it unless you have done a terrible job. But yeah, that is there. There's a sense of security which Fiverr provides, that if you do not like the work, if the work is incomplete, you can cancel it and get a refund. So if you're offering a good price, there's no reason for the buyer to be, just be confused about the service in general.
Okay. Someone is asking, what is the first freelance job you have done?
So I don't exactly remember, but it was about
You've done many projects, right? So that's why you might not be
Yeah, I
able to
mean, it is almost like 7, 8 years ago now. But I think my first job was a $5 gig, where I had to, I had to implement that particular functionality where you have a bunch of text and then you have a README button. And when you click on that README button, that text collapses to the full thing. So that was a very simple JavaScript job. And the fun fact is, actually, I did not know how to do that, and that gig actually got cancelled. So this was like my first experience, because I just picked up that project without actually realizing how to do it, and I just gave a 1 day deadline, and I was unable to figure that out in a single day. So yeah, I mean, it will happen to a lot of you as well when you start off, but these are the things you do not have to waste a lot of your time and effort on. Just if it happens, it's fine, just move on and look for next opportunities.
Okay. One more question is, by doing competitive programming, can I get any offers on Fiverr?
No. Competitive coding.
There is no application of competitive programming, right?
Yes,
That's
I
the
mean,
problem.
yes, I mean, competitive coding has an application in terms of, building sophisticated algorithms and everything. But to be honest, most of that work is very little in terms of technological stack, which is of a company. That is number one thing. Number second is that most of that work, in fact, all of that work is never freelanced out. So if a company is building an algorithm or a sophisticated piece of tech, they would always make it in-house. It will never be present on a freelance websites where people can build it for them. So there could be hackathons and everything. I'm not talking about that, but you're not likely to find any competitive sort of project on sites like Fiverr.
Okay. One more question is, how do you check for genuine clients?
I won't say waste a lot of time on this, because if you're just skeptical in terms of client itself, you might lose on the opportunities which are coming at your way. There would be a lot of clients which might be shady, and they will get the work done and they will not pay you. But again, here Fiverr, an intermediate platform, would help you. You can file for a dispute if you think you have done the work and the client is not approving. So there would be cases, but trust me, they would be less than 1% or maybe even less than that. So don't worry about that. Keep applying for the offers, keep applying for the buyers, and yeah, that should be it. Don't really worry a lot about checking the genuineness of clients.
All right. One more question is how do transactions take place?
So the transactions on Fiverr takes place as the following. If you are a buyer, you're gonna pay the amount of the gig to the Fiverr website. They're gonna hold that particular amount in between. So the buyer has paid, but the seller has not received that amount. You're gonna complete the work. You're gonna deliver the work. The buyer, once they approve your work, it will automatically the funds would automatically get released to you. I think in a week or something. So this is how the transactions would take place. So it's basically a safeguard for everyone, buyers as well as sellers. So buyers have to pay upfront, but the sellers do not get money upfront. So nobody can really scam because buyers are already paid and sellers do not have money yet.
All right, guys, if you have any more questions, make sure that you type it in the chat and we can discuss that. But if you want to go 10x deeper and if you want to learn more about freelancing and if you want to get personal coaching by Mehul himself, make sure that you fill the form. The link is in the description. And yeah, I mean, ask any questions if you have.
You can also leave the link in the chat, I think, for the people who are just on the chat right now.
All right.
Good.
Cool. Mehul, many people might be wondering what is the benefit of freelancing? What is it that you get other than money by freelancing? So what do you think those would be?
You get a lot of skill sets. That is my one takeaway. To be honest, I know a lot of things I have learned in freelancing world which I can contribute directly to what I am today. So, when you're working as a web developer, when you're working as somebody who codes freelancing, you're gonna see a lot of code which is not written by you. So that puts a perspective on how to code in a way which is efficient, how to code in a way which is compatible with the other people's code. And it basically allows you to become a better developer in general as well, because you're seeing a wide spectrum of projects, a wide spectrum of deployments, practices, everything. So I really considered money as a side product of freelancing. I really wanted to learn a lot of things. That is why I got into freelancing. But yeah, money is obviously a good side product.
All right, that was great. If you have any more questions, make sure that you fill the form and we can answer those at that place. Okay, thank you so much. And guys, make sure that you take this opportunity. This is an amazing opportunity when you're in college. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you check out the codedamn learning path on freelance web development. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, guys, thank you so much to IIIT GWALIOR ECEL and also to IIITians Network for organizing this event. It was really good. And yeah, thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.